let's go through Tower of Babil. See how fast we can get this. I'm simply ignoring the fact that a piece of my gear's durability is low. Okay, start on a moving train. Get Cardia on Thancred. Get my Eucrasia ready. And I will pop a shield on Thancred. Again, we have a lot of people to help us out initially, so it's going to get a little bit loud with all of the combat that's going on and all the skills being used, because there's a lot of people here. So zoom out as far as you can to dim the noise if you struggle with that, and face the camera away from everybody as well. And just hit everything with your AoEs. All these people helping you will start to kind of thin out as the dungeon goes. And eventually it will get to a point where it will just be you and your party. Whoops! That's fine. Oh, that's not fine. We're good. We're alive. I'm just gonna pop a Physis here. And that's why I like to stay close to packs, because sometimes there are mechanics like that where you've got to be close to them to resolve them and not get hit. There we go. I can keep going. And you can just jump off of the stairs here. You don't need to use the stairs. You can if you want. But I don't. Stopped. Let's... well, let's throw a shield on everybody, because I'm gonna be hit with these guys. Yep, I was already hit. A few times, actually. And then we just got a lot of this to go through. Again, there's still a lot of people nearby, so try and find a good spot for your camera angle to mute the sound of the combat a little. If you need to. Shield on Thancred. And get hit by everything. Make sure you heal. The pulls in this place can be a little bit difficult initially, simply because they will target you before the tank, because of just how soon they aggro. And they will hit you hard as the healer, so just be mindful of that. Don't be afraid to throw some shield on yourself beforehand, and, you know, heal through it so you don't die just by one of them hitting you out of nowhere. Just going to this, and this will be the first boss. So this guy has a magnet mechanic, and I really like the magnet mechanics myself. They're a lot of fun. So initially, you want to make sure that you're not standing by that guy who is standing there, because he's going to get mad and just smush him into the ground, and you don't want to be there when he does. So he does that mechanic, and the telegraph for it is very, very quick. So it's basically, if he's facing a certain way, move. if he's facing towards you, just move so he's no longer facing you. This is making you want to run random dungeons for no reason now. Okay, here is the mechanics. So I have a plus, that's a minus. So I'm gonna get pulled into this. So I gotta stay as far away from it as possible. You get sucked in. It's a self-explanatory mechanic where, oh, let's grab here, throw an AoE damage reduction and a regen. There we go. It's a self-explanatory mechanic where it's a magnet. If you're the same polarity as the area, you are going to be knocked away. You'll be rejected from it. But if you're the opposite, or if you're different, you will be pulled towards it. So you want to make sure that you're not going to get pulled into a danger zone or knocked back into a danger zone. Here, the safe spots are just between these guys. Oops. My toe almost stepped into that AoE. Another one of these, so I'm just going to throw another caracol in there. And then make sure to move away from where he's facing there, because otherwise you would get hit hard. He does it a few times, so make sure you keep away. Yeah, and he does it again there. If he turns to face you, and you're not a tank, you'd want to move. Okay, and then he's going to pull me in, because I'm a minus and he's a positive. I say minus and positive. Positive and negative is what I meant. You only need to worry about what's on top of your head and what's happening with the mechanic itself. Whatever anybody else is, you don't need to worry about. It's also one of those mechanics where you can't really rely on what the trust are doing to resolve it yourself, because the trust, like, see, all of these have the negative, I have the positive. So I've got to be the only one standing on the outside here. So you can't really rely on the trust to kind of help you in resolving the mechanic. You have to trust yourself. And he's dead. The core thing to remember about the trust is, do not trust the trust. Only trust yourself. Otherwise you can get screwed really badly, because the trust always resolves mechanics at the last minute. Or they don't resolve mechanics properly at all. Okay, this one is just standard elevator. By standard elevator, I mean you push the button and then things start falling from the ceiling to attack you. I don't know where they fall from, but that's fine. Turtle, don't trust. Just don't trust the trust, and you'll be fine. You can only trust yourself when it comes to doing the... But you can trust a little bit in Thancred at the very least to keep himself alive somewhat, although right now he's not really doing anything to keep himself alive. If you're wanting to learn how to tank, do not do what Thancred does, because he barely uses cooldowns, and he doesn't avoid mechanics as well as he should either. Because even as a tank, you may have a higher health pool than everybody else, you may have higher defense, you still want to avoid any avoidable damage. Otherwise, it makes it harder on your healer, and it can potentially make it harder on yourself, too. Because then it means you might have to use a couple of cooldowns unnecessarily to keep yourself alive. So just avoid any of the avoidable damage. Your healer will thank you for it. Trust me. And as always, I really am doing the bare minimum here. Like, I'm not gonna hit any of my fancy buttons for this, because you can make it even easier on yourself by pushing a lot of fancy buttons, but it requires you juggling a lot of your skills and a lot of your hotbar too. So, because if you don't have your hotbar set up the way that I do, where I hit, like, at least with controller, where you hit L2 and R2 together, or R2 and L2 together, you go into your second hotbar, as opposed to shifting, and holding R1 and then shifting between two hotbars like this. The way that I do it is a lot faster, a lot easier to deal with. So I'm not gonna do anything crazy. You probably noticed that I do switch to this one a lot, simply to hit hollows now, because hollows is really, really good, and I would be crazy to not use it. So if you just need to switch to your other hotbar just to use one skill, that's fine. You just want to avoid any just fumbling with your hotbars, and because you can get to the point where you think you're on the right hotbar, but you're in fact not, and you don't notice until later, and then you start to panic and scramble to try and find the correct skill that you're trying to use, and it can mess you up. So don't worry too much about it. Don't worry too much about being fancy with how you play. Like I said, all you need is the bare minimum to get through this content with the trust. You do not need to do anything crazy. Just have these guys. And also the way that I have my hotbar layout is specific to myself. The thing is with this game is that basically everybody has a different hotbar layout. It is very rare to see people with the same hotbar layout as each other, because it's all down to personal preference and muscle memory. So I have this set out this very specific way because it's easy for me to kind of jump between certain skills, and I don't even need to look at my hotbar or what buttons I'm pressing or need to press, because I know exactly where they are in my hotbar. Even if I stop playing the game for weeks, months on end, I can go back and I still have the muscle memory, especially with Sage. I've done that before, and the instant that I try and focus on exactly what I'm hitting, I screw up and I mess up what I'm trying to press. But if I'm just in auto and just go with muscle memory, I'm hitting the right ones. Okay, this boss. So, you see that little square that's got a symbol that looks like a frog on it? It indeed turns you into a frog when you stand on it at a certain point. When it glows, it can turn you into a frog. This one on the right, it shrinks you into a little mini person. I am going to, depending on which one shows up first, or, how am I going to show it? Because I can show you how I do it personally, which I highly do not recommend you do. Or I can show you how to do it the actual way. Let's just show you how to do it the actual way, and then I'll explain what I do myself. Alright. Oh. And they both throw out the limit break at the same time. Alright, big AoE here. And this is just get out of the large AoEs on the floor. Big line AoE. Self-explanatory. He should move into the middle soon. Okay, Magitech Chakram. He's going to be using this one over here. Oh, the nice thing about this one is that you can step on the platform whilst it's glowing, and then you can just continue to be mini and deal damage. You're super, super small. Very teeny tiny. And the reason why you do this is so you don't get hit by these chakrams. You just remain mini the entire time. And then you can walk back on it, and then you get your mini removed. This one also highlights here as well. Do not stand on the frog when the chakrams are out. It will it will be bad. Things will turn bad if you do that. So for chakrams, you stand on this one and go teeny tiny, and then you can stay teeny tiny whilst you're dealing damage. He's going to do, I think it's called downpour. Okay, this is a safe spot right here. If you can see why I'm standing here. They do straight line AoEs around them, so you just have to find the spot where they're not gonna hit. Okay, downpour. This is where you want to be a frog. Recommended is to stay a frog the entire time. Okay? Do not go back onto the platform. Unless if you're a crazy person, then you can go off the platform so you can deal damage. But you have to keep an eye out for a debuff that's on you. It counts up. You don't want that to go high. So you want to make sure that you turn back into a frog to remove that debuff. It also slows you as well if you're not a frog. So you move a lot slower, so you can't get out of the AoEs. Which is why I highly recommend to not do what I just did and just stay a frog the entire time. And just have fun running around, jumping, being frog. And over here. That was the exact same pattern as last time. Well, I appreciate you being around, Viking. I hope you managed to cool yourself off and have a really good ice cap. And we killed him before we even had to resolve that mechanic. But otherwise I would have stood on this one over here, because it was chakrams. The easiest way to determine if you need to go on one or the other, if you see him cast downpour, it's frog. And if you start moving slowly around the area, it's frog. If you see him casting chakrams, it's mini. And if there's chakrams, if there's things that show up on the very outside here, again, it's mini. And you just stay put. You stay put as mini. You stand on the platform, go off, and then you just fight him as normal until the mini resolves itself. And same with frog. If you need to go frog when he uses downpour, just hit the square and just hop around like a frog. Jump around like a frog if you want to as well, until basically the mechanic is over, and then the timer for frog will also be down too. But you can experiment as well, if you're willing to, where you can hop on the square to turn to a frog to move away from a mechanic or to resolve the debuff, and then you can hop on the square again to remove the frog so you can deal damage to the boss. Because as a frog, you cannot deal damage. You can't do any of your skills. So you can kind of keep on turning into a frog, turning off a frog, going back into a frog, and then so on and so forth until the mechanic is resolved. That is a dangerous route to go. That's how I would do it. Would not recommend it for people who aren't psychopaths. Basically. Alright. So it's this way. If you do it without realizing anyway, but you didn't know it was recommended. Yeah, it's better off to just stay put as the frog or the mini when you do it. Don't stand back on the square. And avoid the square at all costs. Otherwise, if you want to mess around, at the very least do it with the frog side. You don't need to do it with the mini side. You don't need to turn it off and on repeatedly, because you can still deal damages when you're mini, so you don't need to worry about it. Alrighty. So, this area. You can do a crazy pull on this again, because you can grab these guys, but if you're a healer or ranged, you can grab these guys down here, from over here, to lure them all the way up here. I'm not going to do that, because again, small pulls. Make it easier on yourself for healing. Especially when it comes to NPCs and their inability to resolve mechanics flawlessly every time. because it gets worse and worse the more enemies there are, because if there's more stuff on the ground for them to run away from, they can't handle it. They have a midlife crisis. Or mid-dungeon crisis. Also, these areas here, you can just hug the edges here. It's safe. Safe to run along the edges. Just avoid the centers, so the claws don't slam down onto you. Going to heal Tancred. I'm actually gonna pop a hollows here because I want to lazy heal, and by that I mean I don't want to switch to the right side of my hotbar for whatever reason. I don't want to target Tancred. And pop the fizzes too. Knock this guy out. Okay, this one I highly recommend. You do not fight them there where Tancred has decided to place himself. Don't follow him. This is not good. I need Tancred to move, ideally. Hopefully he will now. Okay, good, he's moving now. So now I can actually get close to these guys to hit them with my AoE. It's still not ideal, because they are still underneath here, and I've got to be in amongst them to hit all of them. But it is fine. Stroll is going to get hit by this mechanic. Same with Tancred. Because, again, they do not know how to resolve multiple mechanics at once. Okay. Grab this treasure coffer. And this last group here. Isn't that guy adorable over there? That's the boss. That's the final boss that we've got to deal with. He's a cutie patootie. And if anybody has played Final Fantasy X, yes, it is Anima. We're just going to make sure that we're not going to get hit by anything, but also are able to hit everybody that we need to. Tancred is going to get hit very hard here. Yep. Because he resolved one mechanic, did not resolve the other. Tancred has tank privilege, but he also has Tancred privilege at this point. Alright. Anima. So, mechanics. Mechanics for this guy. Let's go through them as we go. Rather than me trying to explain them beforehand, because there's a few that I will need to explain. But just go and start wailing on him. He has a very big area that you can damage, so you don't need to get close. Okay, this one. Nails. Find the corner that doesn't have the nail, and just stand in that square. If you see, these are kind of split into little squares by ridges. Just find a corner that doesn't have a nail, and stand in that square. Okay, Mega Graviton. That's just a big AoE. And it should have orbs that appear... Yep. You will get tethered to one of them. Okay. It's safe to cross. Never mind. It's somewhat safe to cross that, but you want to make sure that you're as far away from that until it goes orange. Or purple even. Wow. Brain. So that it doesn't pull you straight into the orb. Just basically go to the opposite corner of the area. This one here. Move all the way to the front. This is the part where it doesn't look like it's a safe spot. It is. You're not going to get hit here. The reason why I like to stand there as a healer is because a lot of people go to either corner. And if the party is split, so there's people on this corner and this corner, I'm not going to be able to reach my heals to both sides. So I just go straight in the center. And then I can heal everybody from there. And this is the second phase of it. We basically get sunk into the ground. And we gotta deal with his Androcide. That's not as adorable. Okay, so this one here. Claws will show up on either side. You want to find the gap on the first side that shows up, which is right here. And then there's this one on this side. So once the first side has resolved, you want to find the safe spot to the second side. And then move to it. The instant that it's resolved. And then you're good to go. And I'm hoping that one of these mechanics actually targets me. It does. Okay. This one here, I recommend you standing on one side of the map and then just go all the way across to the other side. You don't have to deal damage to it. You can just go all the way to the side. It will not reach you if you do it that way. It's one of those that people can panic from because they move away from the initial AoE and then it starts following them and it starts, you know, you kind of freak out about it. Just start from one side and then go to the other and you'll be fine. I'm gonna stand here because this would have, in theory, made it easier for me to get to a safe spot because I would have gone from here to here. Okay, here, just throw a few heals down because you're gonna all get hit quite a bit. Just heal when needed, basically. Nothing crazy. And then you're back to fighting him topside. And then it's just the same mechanics again. So we want to hit hollows here. Just gonna do this and just go all the way to the front. Need to be forward a little bit more. There we go. Don't be afraid of going all the way to the edge of here. You cannot fall off of this platform. You can fall off the other platform, I think. But I don't think you can fall off this platform. So just go as far forward as you can. This one, again, look for the corner that doesn't have the nail. Stand on the square. Normally it's the... Yeah, normally it's kind of one of the ones at the front, I've noticed. But sometimes it can be one at the back, but just find the area that doesn't have the needle in the corner. And then move into that square. And by square I mean, like, it's kind of split by these spines. Oh, there's a spread. Don't stand near the trust and you're fine. So these spines kind of separate the area into 4 squares. And then this is a big AoE. Heal everybody who's needing it. Okay, and then kill it before you have to resolve that mechanic, I guess. But move as far away as possible until that tether changes how it looks. It's basically just move to the opposite corner of where the tether is coming from, and you'll be fine. And yeah. That is this one.